Hi, I'm Nina. I'm Katie's friend, and we're going to talk about writing today.
Woo! So Nina has been my inspirational queen all summer, because she just wrote a novel, which is insane. She's working on other writing projects as well. And I guess I wanted to ask you, like, what was your process like, kind of understanding that you wanted to be a writer? Like, when did you first figure that out?
That's a great question. I think when I was growing up, I would always know that like if I could do anything, I would write novels, but it just sort of felt insane to me to like say that out loud. Like I was like, why me of all people to like be able to do that? And when I got to college, I was interested in creative writing, but I was also sort of psyched out by it because you had to submit stuff to get into the class. Um, and then yeah, at the end of my freshman year after I broke up with my ex, I was like, I have all this like time on my hands now, like, you know what I'm gonna do, like I'm just gonna like write every night. So I started writing pretty consistently, and like soon just accumulated a lot of material that I started turning into stories. And like some I like actually let one of my friends read my work, and she was like, you should like keep doing this. So I took a creative writing class, and through that I was like able to sort of have the confidence to be like, there's this book that I've always wanted to write, and like I'm actually gonna do it.
And then you did it.
And then I did it. I mean, it was like that itself was a very long process, but it happened.
And well, first of all, I find this hilarious because like I got hardcore rejected by someone, and then I wrote my first novel, and it's like all female cast, like very empowering, very fun. And I was writing it while I was talking to you this summer, and I was just like, wow, Nina really seems to have her shit together and just so much confidence. And I just like wanted to know if you had views about like writing as a woman or like advice to other writers, like, because it's not an easy process, and especially for people like us who are, I think, both really interested in like theory and philosophy, but also kind of writing about personal experiences. Like, how do you do it?
Yeah, that's also a great question. I mean, like, I feel like the disclaimers, like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I also like have a lot of self-doubt where I'm like, like, why am I doing this? But I guess like for getting started out and getting comfortable, I think the big thing was just like writing for me, like not having any expectation on it, like this has to be good. It was just like this cathartic thing at first, and then it was almost an addiction where it was like I couldn't not do it anymore. And I think once I was able to just like write a lot for myself and have a lot of material that I was really passionate about, I was able to start to fine tune it for a reader. But I think still staying grounded and like, I don't think this is the novel for everyone. I don't think that this is like the universal experience, but like this is something that is important to me, and having confidence that that is enough, I think, was really important. Like like it's okay, it doesn't have to be for everyone, but if it fulfills my own vision, then that is satisfying enough for me to be like really glad that I did it.
And I've read parts of it, and it spoke to me. I feel like I am the audience as a so disclaimer, the book is about, it is a fictionalization of your personal experiences in the speech and debate world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's interesting. I met you at debate camp. You were one of the students in one of my classes, and then you, of course, went on to be like this superstar, rock star, killer debater. And so, just reading about this space that I inhabited through your eyes and through your experiences was so incredibly uplifting for me. Like, I wish I had read it. I wish it had existed when I was in high school. And I think, I mean, there's this cliche that if you make a piece of art that speaks to even one single person, you've done your job as an artist. And I think that's really true. And I think there is a lot of like space and beauty and just depth to what you've written. And I'm very excited for the day it's published and I can have it in my hands.
Thank you, that really truly means a lot.
So are you working on new projects, or like what is the life and times of Nina like?
Yeah, so I'm sort of working on a new project. I really want to write about chronic illness, particularly for my thesis, and about my own experience. I'm in a weird process right now of figuring out what kind of thing I'm creating, because I want to incorporate theory in ways that I didn't with my last piece. So do I have to do all the research? Am I jumping the gun by starting to write it now? Is that a terrible idea? Or am I just like getting in my head and I should be writing it all now? So I think I'm sort of, at the very early stages of writing that, and then I'm just making a lot of jewelry on the side.
Yes, link to Nina's Etsy in the chat. But I think more than that, what's really interesting is, so I've been following kind of like your artistic journey for a little while, and the pieces that you create as an artist, so like the paintings and the drawings that you do, really discuss relationships and chronic illness and a lot of other personal things that you've experienced incredibly well. Like the series you did of like couples in bed having conversations, I remember seeing that for the first time and I was like, whoa, like this is such a radically interesting way of showcasing like this particular dynamic. And I was wondering, you know, as someone who just does art really well and also does writing really well, how do you, like, what is kind of your process of taking an idea and making it into a thing?
First, thank you. That's very sweet of you to say. I think it really depends. I think sometimes I draw compulsively, like whenever I'm stressed out, I'll just make stuff as a coping mechanism. Like I think that was what happened with the series that I did, Real Things Men Have Said. Like there were just a lot of things that men had said to me that were very, very frustrating. And like that was like a little outlet. And like when I was really sick, I was just like drawing these like silly little cartoons of this very abstract stick figure sort of like dancing around, which I thought was funny because like chronic illness is so like I mean mine in particular is like I'm pooping, so it's like so dirty and like this thing that we can't talk about. So this like this very whimsical figure as the imagined version of myself, I think felt like some sort of refuge for me, I guess, when I was really sick.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I think art so often can be kind of an escapist tool. Like, how can I envision myself in a different scenario? But your work is always so like rooted in who you are. I think that's also really powerful. Like a lot of the work that I've been thinking about in particular has been about what does it mean to be a female artist or a female writer, and how are we perceived differently throughout the lenses of history and culture. And sometimes I find that difficult because I don't want to describe myself as a female artist. I don't want my gender, my sexuality, or anything to ever in some way like paint me into a box. But at the same time, it's really nice to be able to write and create artwork about things that I've experienced that I think a lot of other people who are similar to me have experienced also. And so people feel like, oh my God, you know, there's someone else out there who's been through this. And because that's how I feel better too, is when I find people like you who are kindred spirits who've been through similar things to me and we can relate about things. I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, I think I've had a lot of difficulty at the beginning feeling like my experiences were important enough to write about. And I think it just takes a lot of time and sort of a leap of faith to be like, no, like if something feels so important to me, like there are definitely other people that care about this issue, which I feel like, I mean, to swing it to speech and debate stories, like that was a lot of the work that we did about the high school debate community, was sort of realizing that everyone's individualized story, which feels like this thing that is very personal and separate from everyone else, is actually this collective experience. And once we start talking about it, that's how those things get realized.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that project, more than anything that I've worked on this year, has been really like changing the world. And I'm just very thankful that you and I have been able to collaborate and work on those things together. And I'm excited to see what other, hopefully more lighthearted, positive things we work on in the future too. So do you have any parting comments about creativity or advice to writers or people who want to get up and start doing things?
I don't know. I guess my biggest advice is like to give yourself permission to make bad things. I think that is one of the things that would stop me the most, is like I would write so many pages and of course a lot of them were terrible, and it's like that's okay, like everyone does that all the time. And I was like I had to write the bad things to get to the good things. So I think especially in this time of whatever they're just happening in the world, just like doing things because you want to and because they're satisfying to you, rather than fixating on other people's perception of them, which like I know is easier said than done. But I think I wish I'd known that earlier.
Well, that's awesome. And I think that's a great piece of advice. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, of
And it's
course.
great to catch up with you and
You
looking
too.
forward to many more conversations.
Absolutely. Take care.